Welcome back, everybody. Today we've got something that's pretty straightforward. This is an aluminum adjustable height laptop stand. And it looks like they've actually got a couple of different designs here on the packaging, although only one of these was listed on Amazon. Pretty generic item. There's a bunch of these under a bunch of different brand names. This one happens to be ifmeyasi brand, if I'm pronouncing that at all right. Retails for about $9.99. Lists a bunch of random laptop names in it. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So we get a pretty typical fabric carrying case. Nothing too fancy, although it's nice enough and seems to cut down on some of the noise from the pieces inside. Let's go ahead and get it out. A little tighter there than I would have liked. All right. So we've got a couple of different things going on. Looks like we've got a variety of rubber pads on any contact surfaces. Whole unit is hinged on a couple of pins here. Would have liked to have seen better hinges. And I'm noticing that these pads here probably aren't going to last forever. I can see that they didn't quite fit the one on the left here in properly. It's trying to pull up just a little. So that's not terrible. Metal on metal movement, no bearing services. This is just a steel on, well, I guess there's a plastic rivet in there. So it just feels like metal on metal movement. Opens up pretty decent amount. Appears to be 6.5 inches wide. Total length, by the way, is 9 inches. So height-wise, we get a variety of heights, courtesy of these little legs starting here. Let's grab this. Looks like the initial height is about 9 degrees, 10 degrees or so. Yeah, we're going to call that 11 now that I've got that lined up. A maximum inclination of appears to be 42 degrees. So let's start with holding something small. So I've got my Winbook TW802. This is an 8-inch tablet. Landscape, perfectly fine. Rubber grips seem to hold it just fine. Portrait is actually too narrow at maximum, but it scooches in just fine. So if you're using an iPad or something like that. In fact, let's grab my studio monitor, which is a larger tablet. This is a 10-inch tablet. So if you're using an iPad or a tablet regularly, this is going to work just fine, either in portrait, man, that's trippy, or landscape orientation. It seems to do okay, and doesn't seem too particularly prone to tipping or anything like that. Now let's go ahead and get something a little more on the challenging side, and this is at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. So this I located and found with the purpose that it would handle some smaller and lighter laptops on the order of Lenovo's Yoga series. But here I've got my P50, which is just a monster and doesn't actually fit in the area that I set up to film this. And actually, that does a pretty decent job, even at the maximum height. I was worried. You can see that it just barely grabbed the laptop here. But even giving it a good shake, it's not going anywhere. Let's go ahead and try it at the other height, which is just as simple. And then it does have 6 different adjustments between minimum and maximum. Seems like something might be a little... Oh, there we go. And actually, same thing. At the minimum height, it's doing a decent job of elevating the laptop and not going anywhere, not going too far. So overall, this is not the world's best laptop stand by any stretch. Especially if you had a larger system than my P50, you probably want something a bit more robust. But for your typical 15-inch system, 14-inch system, your ultralights, tablets, iPads, you know, something like a 12-inch iPad, you'd be hard-pressed to say that this was a bad choice. Especially since that's it. It's folded up. I can stick it in my bag and take it with me. And that was actually the purpose for this that caught my attention, is that this is portable. And although I would have liked a little bit more fit and finish, there's a couple of places where I can feel it's just... They use these little pins to hold things in. I think that's what's going to wear out. I would have liked to have seen better hinges and better bearing designs. It wouldn't have taken a lot of effort to improve these bearings just with a little brass insert. Although I don't know how much more that would have cost them bill of materials wise. This rubber isn't great, isn't terrible either. Metal wise, it is aluminum. It's a very low-end gauge of aluminum. It's not particularly fantastic. In fact, you can see this is cast as opposed to something like this, which is rolled. So they're just blowing whatever grade of aluminum they have into molds and pulling it out. There's no machining marks or indications that anything was CNC'd or ground or trimmed to fit. So this is 100% machined. Speaking of machined, actually, this appears to be pressed. I thought maybe that this would unthread. Those are pressed in. But anyway, I digress. So they're $10. Like $9.99 on Amazon, probably cheaper on eBay, which I'll check before I go to put the links at the bottom here. For something to travel with, I expect to get a couple of years out of something like this and then not feel bad about replacing it. You could certainly spend more and get at least better looking fit and finish. I would like to see this machine. That'd probably bring the price to $40 or $50, which when I look at something like this, I just can't justify spending that much on it, because I know, at least for my point of use, where these are probably going to end up deployed at work, they're going to get lost, they're going to get stolen, They're going to get left behind. They're going to get tossed in bags. And it doesn't matter how good it is if you toss it in the bag like that and then jam the lid shut with various things in here and bend it, they're going to get destroyed. So for me, this is an item that the quality is good enough. I don't feel bad about using it, but it's cheap enough that in the inevitable event that these do get destroyed, I'm also not going to be too broke up about it either. All right. With all that said, I want to thank everyone for watching. This particular item was purchased outright on Amazon, so no one sent this to us. I wouldn't even know how to get a hold of the manufacturer on this. There's just so many different brands that appear to be importing it and rebadging it. I would like to get, there is an indication that there is a larger model with a dual hinge. I would certainly like to get that and try it at some point. I think my P50 would feel a little bit better on the larger model than it did on this one. Although I was impressed with this, I wouldn't pick this for a P17 or P70, whatever they've renamed it to at this point. Anyway, I do want to thank Electrix for providing our opening and closing themes, as always. I want to thank anyone who helps support Pocketables either on Patreon or by using our Amazon affiliate links. It is support like that that helps make videos like this happen. And finally, thank you for watching.